as you know, maths is a subject which on that day what you do matters a lot. On that day I made some calculation errors, and in UPSC you get punished for calculation errors. In mains you can predict the paper, like at least the themes. So PYQs will give you most imprint of most, at least 50% of the paper will be based on PYQs somehow or the other of last 10 years. Like the strategy has to be very clear. First define it and then follow it. So if you are persistent on your strategy, which has been taken from the right people, it will work. If not the first time, then the second time. But your main focus has to be on the syllabus and PYQs, which you have to work on throughout this year, and not after prelims or early next year.
Hello and welcome. Hi Aditya, how are you doing?
Sir, I'm doing very well. I'm fine, and currently I got a rank. I'm happy, but I'm again preparing for my next attempt.
So this is not the first time that you've gotten a rank. Aditya, you were previously, I think last year you had 440 something rank. क्या rank थी पिछली बार?
Sir, last year I got 416.
460. And this year you have got rank of 280.
293. Yes.
293. तो मतलब 100 150 नंबर करके तुम पीछे आ रहे हो एंड लाइक होपफुली दिस टाइम अराउंड मतलब you don't do that, you do 250 नंबर आगे and like come under 100 itself. So Aditya,
God will.
can you tell us a little bit about your UPSC journey? When did you start and like how did you get into this whole area?
Sir, I decided regarding preparation in my third year, second semester. That is around early 2020. And at that time also COVID struck. So in 2020, I read some basic books, but I could not continue the preparation due to fourth year projects related stuff and other academics. Serious preparation started after graduation in 2021 July. So I prepared for 1 year and then gave my first attempt in 2022. I cleared prelims that year, but missed the mains cutoff by 30 marks.
Okay.
And then in next year, I got this rank of 416, 2023 attempt, and then 2024 attempt, I got 293.
So I think if you had to say something about prelims, because you seem to have cracked the code. Every year you've cleared prelims comfortably, I feel. And even in the year 2023, जब मतलब एकदम वो bouncer paper आया था, सब आया था, तो मतलब you seem to be fine. I think then also we had a short chat about कि भाई मतलब क्या तुमको लगा, कैसा लगा. So what is your opinion on how does one do very well in clearing prelims?
Sir, based on my personal experiences and my chats with people who have cleared multiple prelims, say 5 or 6, even cleared IFOS cutoff 5 or 6 times, all of them say that you need to have a very good grasp on some basic material, which is your polity, geography, environment, basic static, economy, conceptually also and factually also. Both. And other than that, you have to get the knack of solving MCQs. So if you get the knack of how to solve some MCQs, like which are on the periphery of your knowledge, not necessarily entirely in the domain of your knowledge, but on the periphery of your knowledge, using your educated guess, your knowledge gathered from other sources. If you get that knack of how to solve MCQs, and some part of all it is also derived from your analysis of PYQs as well. So these two things I think are key to clearing prelims. If you are very factually and conceptually clear of these basic subjects.
I would love to ask from you. Number one, what is the difference between a conceptual understanding and a factual thing? What, in your sense, is the difference between the two?
Sir, let us take a very common topic, ocean currents. So ocean currents is a very favorite topic of UPSC, both in mains and prelims. So to know that which ocean currents is on which coast, originates from where is a hot current or a cold current, all these things is your factual knowledge. So now per UPSC, if you see, I don't remember the exact year, but it has asked in one of the years, one of the questions, that western portion of the ocean, western side of the oceans are hotter, or western coast of the continents are hotter as compared to the, say, eastern coast. So these kind of statements, to decipher these kind of statements, you need the conceptual understanding of what is the movement of the ocean currents and how they will pile up water at the other end, and then the cold ocean current will sink and then move to the other end. If you understand this is the conceptual understanding. But to know the name of the current, the place where it is flowing, all these things, this is your factual knowledge. So both these things need to be clear, and then you have good grasp on your basic subjects.
Absolutely. I think अगर एक और सब्जेक्ट का यहाँ पे एग्जांपल लें तो जैसे अगर इकोनॉमी की हम बात करें तो इकोनॉमी में इट वुड बी समथिंग लाइक अंडरस्टैंडिंग द रोल ऑफ आरबीआई इन लेट्स से इन्फ्लेशन हाई हो गया है तो व्हाट आर द स्टेप्स दैट आरबीआई कैन टेक इन टर्म्स ऑफ कंट्रोलिंग इन्फ्लेशन कि भाई मतलब वो रेपो रेट वगैरह को चेंज करेंगे, CRR SLR चेंज करेंगे, 3-4 चीजें जो उनकी रहती हैं वो करेंगे। तो ये वाली चीज मैं मानता हूँ, दिस इज कॉन्सेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ इकोनॉमी। ऑन द अदर हैंड, इफ यू टॉक अबाउट कि देर इज सम पर्टिकुलर कमिटी जिसमें ये लोग हैं और ये कमिटी का काम ये है और ये कमिटी ऐसे फॉर्म हुई, तो दिस इज अ वेरी फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चन ऑफ इकोनॉमी। तो इस वाले क्वेश्चन में तुमको नहीं आता कोई दिक्कत नहीं, बट ये वाला जो तुम्हारा कॉन्सेप्चुअल क्वेश्चन है वो तो बिल्कुल ही गलत नहीं होना चाहिए, राइट? तो दैट इज द फर्स्ट थिंग।
Sure.
सेकंड थिंग दैट यू सेड व्हेन यू टॉक्ड अबाउट कि भाई प्रीलिम्स में क्या करना है इज PYQ एनालिसिस। सो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली डू यू मीन व्हेन यू से कि भाई PYQ एनालिसिस अच्छे से करना है?
Sir, here also I'll say 2 to 3 things. First of all, you get to know what are the important themes for the exam. If you see, I am seeing in last 4 to 5 years, there have been repeated questions on 21st June and 22nd December. This thing, it rises above an Arctic Circle, Antarctic Circle, twisting around this concept only. So you get to know what important themes UPSC focuses on. Second thing is how UPSC forms the options. I'm not saying like trick basis. The extreme word is I'm not that is also a part of it, but I'm not talking specifically about it. Just get to know how UPSC is forming the options around it, what kind of wrong options UPSC makes. Sometimes it interchanges the definitions. Sometimes it tries to shift a narrow concept into a very broad manner, or a broad concept into a very narrow manner. If you can decipher these things out of the MCQs, out of the PYQs, then you can analyze in the exam that what kind of wrong option is this. And then you can probably attempt with a more percentage, that is become a better percentage attempt in most of the 50-50 questions. So I think these two things: first, analysis of themes, and second, guessing what kind of wrong options is UPSC forming.
So that's a great thing you mentioned कि भाई there are some 50-50 ऑप्शंस आपके क्वेश्चन में हो गए हैं, एंड वहां पे आप हायर प्रोबेबिलिटी के साथ फिर आप गेस कर पा रहे हो बेस्ड ऑन कि ओके यू अंडरस्टैंड कि अच्छा ये उस टाइप का क्वेश्चन लग रहा है।
Yes.
Did you have any particular subjects where you were comfortable taking more risk versus where you were not comfortable taking risk?
So, first of all, in history questions, especially art and culture, ancient history, they are strongly factual. So there is no use of taking any risk there. If you know, attempt it. If you don't know, then there is no point attempting it. And if you want to take the risk, I think it is mostly around some of the current affairs or some of the general issues such as international organizations. So last time there was a question on international toilet organization, I think, in
World Toilet
2024, and there
Organization.
was an option there's that it is funding most of the countries. So that is not possible. That it will give money to any of the countries, because so if you can decipher that whenever funding is involved, it funds this, most of the time it is wrong.
Yeah.
So in these general affairs, current issues question, there was a Venezuela based question. I think Venezuela, there has been a drastic recovery Venezuela, and people have started returning there. So in these general issues questions, if you can analyze and see, I think it is also in some of the economy questions. I think if I can summarize it, in logical subjects where something logical you can decipher, it is better to take a guess and not in the factual
So which
subjects.
subjects for you were logical? जैसे आपने बोल दिया ancient people definitely is not logical, it is more factual, right?
Yes.
I would also say environment is very factual. Some basics there are, but majorly
Most of
बाकी
it is.
factually आता है.
Sure.
What other subjects for you were logical?
Science and tech, first of all, I think most in the 3 prelims I have given, most of the questions I have guessed from that part I have got right. In 2022, I think I got every question right which I guessed in this section. Second, I will say polity. Third, to an extent, economy. I think these three, I'll say that if you can decipher some things logically, you will be able to do it.
What about geography?
It depends upon what kind of question is there. Like if it is mapping based, then if you don't know, then there is no possible guessing it. But or human geography based, crops, these are not the questions where guess should be made, especially Kharif, Rabi, or the quality of the conditions in which that crop is grown. These things are not to be guessed. But suppose it is of physical geography, then probably you can make a guess. It depends upon what topic that subject is based.
Right. So we have polity, economy, you said science and tech. So geography is a so-so thing. Art and culture, ancient medieval तो completely on the other side है. Then क्या बचा हमारा? Modern history. What about modern history? What's your
Then
take?
I said general affairs, this current affairs and general issues. In those things, I think in those questions, I think I find my guesses right in most
But
cases.
is that because of your technical background? You're an engineer, right?
Yes, I am an engineer.
So do you think that
But
that
I don't
makes
think,
it
yes, there
easier for
is
you to do science and tech questions?
in some cases, but I think the kind of science and tech that is asked in the UPSC exam, everyone, if he or she understands the conceptual basis of it, can make the educated guesses. So I don't think, sir, it will be a very big issue.
आई थिंक आई एग्री विद यू, क्योंकि बहुत बेसिक चीजों पे सवाल पूछते हैं। कभी आपसे 5G पे पूछ लेंगे, कभी कभार आपसे मेटावर्स पे पूछ लेंगे। ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स आर वेरी मच इन न्यूज एंड ऑल ऑफ अस आर वेरी इंटरेस्टेड इन दीज sorts of things, right? So coming to the mains part of it, Aditya, what changed between your first, second and your third attempts? क्या difference आया आपके मेंस की प्रिपरेशन में?
So in my first attempt, my optional is mathematics. It is a very huge optional. It takes a lot of time to cover it, and in my first attempt, I was not able to balance my GS preparation with my optional preparation as well. And some of the topics I was not able to cover fully. Hence, my optional paper was very bad first year. I got only 240 marks. Uh, in my second attempt, I prepared it well, practiced it well also. But as you know, maths is a subject which on that day, what you do matters a lot. On that day, I made some calculation errors, and in UPSC, you get punished for calculation errors. You don't get, from whatever people say, you don't get any marks if you make a calculation error, even on the last day.
Partial solution के number नहीं मिलते, you have to get the final answer right.
So I got 260 marks that year. So this year, I feel I have done well in optional. I must have got over 290 is what I'm feeling, but we will have to see the mark sheet. So over the course of 3 attempts, I have improved gradually in my optional, first of all. Second, in terms of general studies, in my first year, I did ethics syllabus after prelims. So not much of answer writing practice I could do in ethics, only was able to cover the syllabus and just complete the paper in the exam. So I got only 90 marks that year in ethics. In my second attempt, I increased it to 120. So that played a very important role in my selection last year. This year, I will have to see what are the marks. And in other GS also, I improved, like if not in absolute context, but in relative context. Like in GS1 in 2022, the merit was very high. So I got 87 marks, which is very poor as compared to say good merit. But last year I got 86 only, but that is good as compared to what was merit last year. Last year GS1 was scaled down.
So what I feel is, instead of looking at individual GS ka subjects, it's easier if you combine all four and then look at the total. Because as you say, every year there is a variability. Sometimes GS4 mein people will be getting 140. Other times, 110 will be the highest. So it's very difficult for anybody to figure out, okay, have I done absolutely better this time? क्योंकि भाई 140 भी तुम्हारे ही आए थे, 110 भी तुम्हारे ही आए हैं, वो दोनों साल में हाईएस्ट भी हैं। तो मतलब कैसे मैं बोलूं कि भाई वो 140 वाला अटेम्प्ट बेटर था या 110 वाला अटेम्प्ट बेटर था? तो आई फील इफ यू जस्ट कंबाइन कि भाई चारों जीएस का टोटल कितना था, तो व्हाट वाज योर टोटल इन योर फर्स्ट मेंस?
345.
सेकंड
390.
एंड थर्ड का भी पता चलेगा हमें, राइट? सो आई थिंक दैट इज वेयर योर मेजॉरिटी इंप्रूवमेंट लाइज कि 20-30 नंबर आपने ऑप्शनल में कर लिए, 50 मार्क्स सम इन योर जीएस, एंड इंटरव्यू में फिर आपका थोड़ा फटका लगा था, सो फार एज आई रिमेंबर।
Last year interview, I got very good marks.
How much did you get?
I got 195.
Oh yes, lovely. So
I got selected primarily because of the interview last year.
So I think that's a great thing. And I'm doing that again where I'm confusing you with the other Aditya that also our student Aditya Keshri. तो वो तब हम जब बात कर रहे थे तब भी वो बार-बार होता है, because I think both of you have very similar stories, and my apologies for that. So like, what did you do in terms of interview in 23 वाला जो attempt है where you got selected for the first time? क्या किया वहाँ पे, क्या चीजें आपके लिए काम करी?
So first of all, I'll say last year I got very good marks. This year I'm not sure of my score in interview. It was a more factual based interview, so I was not very satisfied with my performance there. We will have to see what are the marks. Last year my interview was on first day, on 2nd January only, and list came on 20th December is what I remember. So I had hardly 12 to 13 days to prepare for the interview, and that was my first interview. So I in 10 days I just prepared the DAF, completed current affairs of December, and read the newspapers well, gave mock interviews, 6 to 7 mock interviews in 10 days, which were there for me. just went and gave the interview. It was a DAF based interview. 80% of the questions I had already answered in one or other of the mock interviews, and hence I was very fluent there and was able to replicate my performance from mocks to the actual interview. Hence, I got very good marks, I feel. So that was all about last year.
तो उसमें कहीं पे शशांक सर के साथ जो बात करी आपने, या मतलब एनीवेयर दैट यू टॉक टू मी, डिड दैट हेल्प, और लाइक या इतना टाइम ही नहीं था अपने पास?
No, yeah, for sure. Like you were asking questions from me from civil engineering, optional based subjects, and I was not able to answer them very well because like I've been out of touch with them for around 3 to 4 years. So you said that when I know a question, then my face reflects differently, and when I don't know a question, then my face reflects differently. So I need to like maintain my composure. And in interview, I was not able to answer a very basic question, which I think everyone should be able to answer. But yes, I smiled about it and said, "Sir, sorry, sir, I'm not able to think any of the name." I was asked question, tell me any one social reformer from your state, Uttar Pradesh, and what impact he has or he or she has had on you. So at that time, when I started to think about social reformers, I only got names from Bengal. And in UP, none of the names come up in my initial thoughts. And I also had to talk about impact on me. So I only said, sorry, sir, I'm not able to get any specific name at the moment, and was very normal about it. So I think those feedbacks helped me to answer that question. And if I got 195, then I don't think that answer had any bad impact on my interview.
I think it's always about how you handle the ups and downs. Because as you know, now you're given 2 interviews. It's never about, it's not a knowledge test. इट्स अ टेम्परामेंट और कंपोजर का टेस्ट, राइट? कि भाई बंदे को अगर प्रेशर में डालते तो क्या होता है? क्योंकि थिंक ऑफ इट ना, मतलब यू आर नाउ ऑलरेडी इन सर्विस एंड लाइक यू नो सर्विस में क्या क्या चीजें होती है, 10 तरीके के प्रेशर आते हैं, मतलब यू नो यूर अ पब्लिक फेसिंग इंडिविजुअल, जॉब तुम्हारा ऐसा है कि अब तुम प्रेशर में आके कुछ भी बोल दोगे तो वो भी सही नहीं है. सो वंस यू गॉट सिलेक्टेड, व्हाट वेंट इन योर हेड? जो सेकंड अटेम्प्ट के बाद आपका सिलेक्शन हुआ था, तो मतलब क्या चीजें, मतलब वर यू हैप्पी, वर यू सैड, लाइक हाउ डिड यू डील विद इट?
Actually, last year I was very happy, to be honest, and in my family also, everyone was very happy that I got into the list, and it was my first selection after failure at the first time. So yes, there was a disappointment that ultimate target is not achieved, but I don't think like I was thinking about it last year. When I got selected, everyone was very happy, and I had just positive feelings in my mind. And I think it motivated me also a lot that yes, I can go again next year and will be able to improve further. So I think last year was a very good feeling and one of the best experiences of my life when I got selected for the first time.
So how would you contrast that to the first time where जब तुम्हारा मेंस नहीं हुआ था? मतलब what were the difference in feelings? मतलब तब क्या हुआ था? You were saying कि you've always been a good performer.
Yes. So that was probably the first big failure I faced in my academic career. But there was a sense of acceptance also because I knew I had not prepared my optional well. I had not done ethics well. I had not done answer writing in other subjects to the extent that other people do. So I think I did not deserve to be there. And there was a sense of acceptance. And yes, that also motivated me further that yes, I need to work harder. And what I have been doing, I have to change my study pattern. I have to become more disciplined, waste less time. So yes, all these things were going on in my mind, and I think I improved it to an extent next time, which got me selected.
Have you always been somebody who's been very self-aware, or was that something that you picked up, you know, along the way during UPSC journey?
Sir, I would not say that there has been very drastic change in terms of my perspective, but yes, over my 3 attempts, I have learned more things about me and about life in general, about what twists and turns can happen in life. And I think the most important thing that, yes, I knew, I had read in various books, heard in various spiritual talks that do your work and leave it to God, or you can only control what you have in your hands, some things like that. But in UPSC, it does make you realize that, yes, you are working hard and you want to become IAS, IPS, but there are other people as well in the race, and they are also working hard, and sometimes they deserve more than you. So you need to appreciate them, and when they get selected, learn from them and try again next time. Just because you have worked hard does not mean that you will get selected. It is a merit-based exam, and there is a good possibility that other person might be better than you. So these things I internalized during the course of my UPSC preparation.
I think that's a very good thing to sort of focus on, figure out कि irrespective of कि तुमने कितनी मेहनत करी है, किसी और ने बहुत ज़्यादा मेहनत भी करी हो सकती है, and like you know, even then they might not make it, you might make it. तो ये सारी चीजें मतलब these are not in our control. तो going from your second to your third attempt, what were things that you changed or upgraded or like what did you improve on? मतलब एक आपने बोल दिया था कि ऑप्शनल आपने किया था, उसके अलावा जीएस में आपने क्या किया?
So sir, in general studies, from what I analyzed from toppers copies, that I was not able to add sufficient value to my answers in some of the cases. More importantly, I think I ended on my answer at a very abrupt note. I wrote the body, and then if there is a way forward asked in the question, I'll write it and then end it. But from what I analyzed, the people are focusing more on how they end the answer, recommending solutions, and if not specific way forward, their solution is a bit long, in which there are some of the quotes, say, of the Prime Minister, government schemes, or some other good case studies mentioned that. So I made a conscious effort so as to improve my ending of my answer, specifically conclusions, some of the solutions. Also, like in general studies too, people say add judgments, more judgments to your answer, more committees to your answer. So I think what happened to me that I always connected these committees and these judgments to the specific topic. That if this topic will be asked, in this notes I have written this committee and this judgment. But I think like how examination is based, if you don't make conscious effort to include that committees while practicing, you only relate, if you only relate to that specific topic, you will face problems in the exam. So you have to make conscious effort that I have to utilize it somehow or the other, because it is not necessary that that specific topic or that specific question from what you have prepared will be asked in the question. So that is why answer writing and simulators, these come into the play, where you make conscious efforts to include these value addition portions in your answers. And when you will be able to do that in your simulators and in your test series, then only you will be able to replicate that. I used to prepare them in my earlier 2 attempts, but was not able to replicate it fully. Still, I think there is a scope of improvement in me in this manner, but I think to an extent I improved that during this attempt. In general studies, 3 people say that in agriculture, in economy, data matters a lot, because the people who are checking, they are specifically from the field of economics. So adding data from the recent economic surveys, including some more technical terms, like people generally say growth rate, but you can always say CAGR of this percent over last 4 or 5 years. So all these things, making it more technical, GSC, because it is scaled down to an extent. So if you want to score higher, you have to do a bit more. So all these things I try to incorporate. I will have to see how much of it has any impact, because I'm still not sure what my GS score is.
When the mark sheet comes out, you'll figure out a lot of things.
Yes. But these things I made conscious efforts to improve this. And in GS4, I think preparing some of the formats of the case studies before, some people make priority diagrams while making the decision, what chance, like what are the possible options and what will be your decision. So what is the priority diagram I noticed from last year's toppers copy, Aditya Upadhyay sir. So those things I tried to incorporate in GS4 as well, adding quotes from famous personalities, using my hobby in interviews Bhagavad Gita. So I tried to use some of the shlokas from Bhagavad Gita into my ethics answers. So these are the things I tried to improve from last year.
So like जैसे when in our mains program also what we try and do is कि ये जो quotes आप बोल रहे हो, जो judgments है, तो what we do is give a compilation. So that's something that I still say कि compilation आपको मिल गया है, and that's exactly what we do कि भाई let's say आपको ट्रांसपेरेंसी है या बैलेंस ऑफ पावर्स है या इससे रिलेटेड अगर कोई जजमेंट में डायरेक्टली मेंशन्ड है, यू नो यूल गेट द नेम ऑफ इट, उसके 2 लाइन, बट जब तक एज यू से यू आर नॉट यूजिंग इट, तो इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी यूजफुल. इट विल बी जस्ट अनदर लिस्ट ऑफ कि भैया हाँ मतलब मेरे को पढ़ना था और फिर वो कोई फायदा नहीं होगा. तो इनकॉर्पोरेटिंग इट, प्रैक्टिसिंग इट कॉन्स्टेंटली, दैट इज द ओनली वे फॉरवर्ड, एंड दैट इज समथिंग दैट आई फील जो बहुत सारे लोग नहीं कर पाते. मतलब are you somebody who wrote a lot or you did not write a lot? What kind of an individual were you in that case?
So I think this has been some of the fault on my part, especially in my first 2 attempts, that in my first attempt, I think I wrote my first full length test 1.5 or 2 months into the exam. I was just preparing the content and focusing on my optional maths. So that maths also plays a part there. But yes, I was wrong there. I did not practice a lot. So I changed it in my second. I took a dedicated test series, gave a full test every week. So this year I more like not necessarily test series. I focused on individualized answer writing, a set of questions based on some topics and then practicing it every day. But I think in hindsight, I should have like made it more balanced. I should have like give some of the more full length test. I would have been able to replicate that better in the actual examination as well, and there might be some improvement in my rank. But I think this is in hindsight. We will have to see the mark sheet and then decide. But there has to be some balance between test series and this your dedicated answer writing, which you can do of PYQs as well, not necessarily any program or any coaching center. You can just, I used to do it like I did this year also. Initially, when that program did not start, I was just writing PYQs of last year's, half papers every day.
So just like we talked about कि prelims में PYQs का importance काफी रहता है. Can you elaborate a little on कि mains में previous year question का क्या importance है? How can they be helpful?
So in mains also PYQs are very, very helpful. First of all, as I said, themes 2023 and in 2024. In 2023, second question of GS1 Vedic period, 2024 first question Vedic period, in 2022 Chola Gupta, again 2024 Chola. So themes get repeated every year. Caste, fluid, static, these questions in different forms repeating every year. So UPSC tries to form the questions in different language around the same topic every year. The content mostly remains the same. You just have to change your way of presentation, change the subheadings. So in mains, you can predict the paper, like at least the themes. So PYQs will give you most imprint of most, at least 50% of the paper will be based on PYQs somehow or the other of last 10 years. So they become very important. And I think this is the primarily importance of PYQs. And secondly, for importance of practice, you can again write those questions only in like actual exam simulated environment. Like most of us practice PYQs from the content point of view, which I told in the first, but also write it like in an exam environment where you are about to express it in few words in that specific time period. Then it gives you the real impact. So both things have to be done, and then this will be beneficial.
Right. So any particular toppers that you followed or you heard last year, जैसे we were talking about, you heard Ayan Jain का video on our channel. उसके अलावा who were the toppers जिनका answer copies आप follow कर रहे थे, or who you were taking some ideas from, so that others can also benefit from it?
Sir, to be specific, in GS1 in 2022, I think, I do not remember the rank, but Abhishek Davachia sir, he's IPS currently. He got 128 score. So from GS1, I think his copy is very beneficial. He uses pictorial diagrams very well in GS1. In GS2, Kunal Rastogi from last year, he got 134 marks, I think one of the highest. And Arjun Gupta, AIR 32. He has uploaded some of the notes and answer copies. So they give very good value addition points. So I use them in my GS2 notes. In ethics portions, the Garima Loya ma'am from I think 2022, her case studies, I think they are very different. She got 141. 2022 was a low year for ethics. Like there were not many people with high marks, and she got 140s, I think 140s. So her case studies are very different from others. Like she writes very specific points and very to the point, mentioning the specific organization, specific post in the option of case studies. Like so those things I try to incorporate in my answers. So I think if you can refer to these people, I think it will be beneficial. Otherwise, like top rankers, top 10 are always people you can refer to. But I found these people to be specifically helpful in these areas.
I think particularly, as you mentioned, Arjun Gupta. तो Arjun Gupta के साथ काफी time से मतलब we've been in touch. I've seen a lot of his answer copies, given suggestions and everything. But he is somebody who उनका एक फ्लेयर है ऑलरेडी. मतलब ही इज गॉट वेरी गुड राइटिंग, एंड मतलब वो देख के तुमको समझ आता है कि हाँ मतलब दिस इज गुड मटेरियल. मतलब गरिमा लोहिया का सेम केस है. गरिमा लोहिया, एज यू से, वेरी स्पेसिफिक टू द पॉइंट. A lot of the others obviously vary from year to year, but Arjun Gupta, particularly AIR 32, I would highly recommend everybody to check out, क्योंकि मतलब वो बंदे की कॉपी मैंने मतलब फर्स्ट हैंड देखी है जब डिस्कस कर रहे होते थे हम कुछ कुछ, एंड लाइक great content, great clarity. But then the difficulty with that sort of a thing is also sometimes कि it's very difficult to replicate. जैसे अगर मैं अपने अटेम्प्ट्स की बात करूं तो इन दैट टाइम वी यूज्ड टू हैव अनुदीप दुरिशेट्टी. His copies used to be the gold standard. They still are pretty good, but now obviously Shruti Sharma ki copies are also in that sense and manner. So when you look at it for the first time, it can be very daunting because इन्होंने जो dense material डाला हुआ है वहां पे, and तुम अगर वो नहीं डाल पा रहे हो, तो it can be a little discouraging. So how do you sort of bridge that gap? कि भाई इन्होंने बहुत ही ज्यादा कुछ डेंस चीजें करी हुई है, लाइक यू से कि भाई गरिमा लोहिया ने बहुत स्पेसिफिक टू द पॉइंट चीजें लिखी हुई है. तो इफ यू हैड टू डू दैट, हाउ वुड यू डू इट?
So, I think, sir, it depends upon what stage of preparation you are in. So, if you are preparing, like if you are going to attempt it next year, and you are seeing the copies now, then you have a decent amount of time so as to incorporate that content in your answers, or see how I can get this content, or how common is this, or is there a pattern in which that specific person is using this content. So, but if you are seeing these answer copies, suppose say between prelims and mains, then if you will start gathering that content, then I don't think that will help. You need to take out some specific good points that you feel that this person is doing which are different from others, and just apply it, or to an extent from whatever knowledge you have. Otherwise, I think, sir, different people get marks by different mechanisms. We were talking about Ayan Jain, sir. He focuses more on quantity, short points, very large quantity of points. But if you see someone different, like say, if I say Animesh Pradhan, sir, ranked 2 last year, I think his points are a bit longer, not necessarily as much as Ayan Jain, sir, but they have very good content, good references, good value addition. So if you can mix match to an extent some of the topics, you are like in internal security, you are prepared very well. So probably you can write like Animesh, and where you have good material. But suppose if you don't have good material with respect to say Indian economy, which does not have one dedicated source, so probably there you can use the method of Ayan Jain, sir. Refer to more number of points, decide on a few keywords, and then write points based on that. So just mix and match.
Ayan Jain का strategy, the spray and pray, कि भैया फेंक दो, जो आएगा और देखी जाएगी.
Sir, but if you look at his notes, which I got from your website only, 76-page notes, I think they are there. So he writes a topic, he writes different dimensions of the topic.
That's exactly the point. Ki if you see those notes for the first time as a beginner, they will not make sense to you. But as you say, if you're probably far along enough in the journey, and I think for you, they might be very helpful. You are a ranker now twice over. राइट, तो तुमको वो कॉन्टेक्स्ट समझ आ रहा है कि वो 75 पेज में क्या है, कि वो सिर्फ कीवर्ड्स है, एक्सपैंड बाद में करना ही है, एग्जांपल्स कोई नहीं दिए हुए हैं वहां पे, ऑल ऑफ द एग्जांपल्स आर इन हिज हेड ऑलरेडी. बट एट योर स्टेज ऑफ द जर्नी, वेरी हेल्पफुल नोट्स फॉर अ बिगिनर. ये क्या लिखा है?
That is not a good advice for the beginners, but I was just saying that there is a like method behind his madness where he's generating these number of points. There are specific pointers that he has demarcated for every topic. Like for agriculture, I will start from this end of the value chain to the end, and from every step of the value chain, I'll generate 1 point. So those points are not random. If there is a like method behind it. So if you can grasp it, then probably you can apply it. And I was talking to some of the rankers, like who have got top 100 ranks, 115. They applied his method this year, and they have got top rank. So I think it is working to an extent.
And that's the thing कि every year this sort of a thing happens कि भाई पिछले साल में कुछ लोग होते हैं जिनका ideas get propagated very widely. I think Ayan has been one of them for the last year. एंड वो जब हम रिकॉर्ड कर रहे थे वो सेशन ही, तब भी मेरे को लग रहा था कि भैया ये जाएगा. क्यों? बिकॉज ही वाज वेरी क्लियर इन द वे दैट ही कि भाई ये करना है, करो, चुपचाप जाओ, हो जाएगा. एंड व्हेन समबडी ऑफ दैट sort of credential speaks कि भाई once he had 87 then he got AR16, तो मतलब वो तुमको पता है कि वो काम कर रहा है. बट प्रॉब्लम ये है कि भाई अगले 2 साल में वो इतना ओवर यूज हो जाएगा कि नाउ somebody will have to figure out something new. राइट, क्योंकि ये हर साल यही होता है, हर बार यही होता है दैट पीपल स्टार्ट फॉलोइंग द सेम आइडिया, सेम थिंग, एंड देन दैट थिंग गेट्स ओवर यूज्ड. एंड देन फिर एग्जामिनर के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से जब मैं देखता हूँ तो मुझे लगता है यार ये फिर वही चीज, फिर वही सेम आंसर. एंड देयरफॉर novelty and variety in your answers, like you were saying कि भाई you picked up something from Garima Lohia, you picked up something from Arjun Gupta, you picked up something from Ayan, from Kunal, and once you do all of those things, it brings to a style which is Aditya's own. And that is, I think, what differentiates in the end. क्योंकि तुम किसी का कॉपी बिल्कुल स्टाइल कर नहीं सकते हो सारा. You will have to make it your own in time. So I think That's that. तो इस साल का आपका इंटरव्यू का एक्सपीरियंस फिर क्या रहा था? Because मेंस की हमने काफी बात कर ली. What happened this time around? And like I think this time around you had a very late interview.
No, sir, it was in the first month only, 28th January.
अच्छा, मतलब relatively late from last year.
Yes.
तो क्या डिफरेंस था आपके इंटरव्यू की स्ट्रैटेजी में इस बार, या कुछ डिड यू चेंज एनीथिंग, डिड यू?
Strategy, like I was allocated a service last year, so I had to prepare that service. As I told earlier, I was not well versed with my graduation subject civil engineering, so I did that very well. I bought one handbook, which is we prepare for the ES examinations. I learned most of the basic formulas, everything from that. And also last year there were few suggestions like I was not smiling, people say, and those things. So I worked on my non-verbal aspects as well compared to last year. Regarding my interview experience, sir, first of all, around 40% of it was based on my service, railways. And chairman sir specifically was not asking about any policy issues or say anything factual. He was talking about philosophy behind railways or USP of railways. So those were not questions I was necessarily prepared with. I tried to deal with it in a good enough manner, but yes, I was not very fluent while answering those. Other questions were my hobby were cricket and chess and Bhagavad Gita. There were no questions from cricket and Bhagavad Gita. From chess, there were only factual questions. No logic. Like name all 2,700 plus players of India. Tell me every achievement of India in 2024. Has any women played the candidates? Tell me where it was held, how many players played, what is the criteria for the candidates, like all these factual things. I think I handled almost every question well, except one or two questions where I said no. Other than that, there were some random questions. Like I was asked, name top 5 literate states of India. So and I did not know the top 5. I only knew about Kerala. I think which everybody knows. And I said I don't know, but I was asked I had to guess. I guessed wrong. I talked about most of the southern states, but because it is rate, so smaller territory leads to higher rate. I was not able to decipher this during the exam, and so northeastern states are very above Goa and some union territories. They are higher. So this I got wrong in exam. I was asked to guess, but I got it wrong. And there was a question regarding Great Depression of 1929. How did we deal with it? Regarding word history, which has no connection to my background in any manner, and I was not able to answer that very well. Just some basic general stuff. So like this was my interview in a nutshell.
So if let's say we're nearing the end of the discussion, so if you had to give one piece of suggestion to somebody who's just starting preparation, what would you advise them?
Sir, I think first of all, one needs to be very well acquainted with the nature of the exam, with the structure of the exam, like how prelims and mains preparations have to be laid out. What is the timeline for mains preparation? What is the timeline for prelims preparation? These things, and nature of the exam regarding the uncertainty. What is the average attempts one takes to clear the exam? Get acquainted with the reality of the exam.
According to you?
I think if you have decided in at least 2 attempts, and I think if you have sufficient time, not much financial burden, you can take up to 3 attempts. Minimum. That I'll say. And next I'll say, sir, one needs to be like the strategy has to be very clear. First define it and then follow it. Do not worry about how many materials are floating, what everyone is doing. If you have decided upon a strategy, first take up advice of many people, then see your abilities, and then decide upon a strategy and then follow it really well. This exam is of persistence, if you see. So if you are persistent on your strategy, which has been taken from the right people, it will work. If not the first time, then the second time. I think, sir, these are the few things. And sir, one thing that I always talk about to people is that when people are new into this exam, we are introduced to, some people say study Lakshmikant, study Spectrum. And when we start, like if I'm preparing for 2026, at this time, if I start with these books, yes, these are very important. They take around 3 to 4 to 5 months to finish. And then you have got your optional and that 1, 2, 3, 4 syllabus to cover. So this mains, like the real exam is mains, which will give you the rank. So focus on the syllabus and PYQs. You can form a basis with these books, but your main focus has to be on the syllabus and PYQs, which you have to work on throughout this year and not after prelims or early next year. So people say study these books, but no, the main thing is syllabus and PYQ, and work on it during this year. Then you will be able to give your best next year. Like, this was main mistake I made in my first attempt. I was reading these books till December and was not making notes on 1, 2, 3, 4 topic wise.
I think that's a very good point here, and that's sort of something that we always suggest कि भाई शुरू करो आप एनसीईआरटी से, बेसिक एक बार पढ़ लो ताकि आपको सब्जेक्ट एक्वेंट हो जाए. क्योंकि बहुत बार क्या होता है ना कि मतलब आई एम रीडिंग लक्ष्मीकांत फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम, इट इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी हैवी, वेरी डेंस, एंड इट विल हैव सो मेनी टर्म्स दैट आर न्यू टू मी. राइट, ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ वर्सेस प्रोसीजर एस्टैब्लिश्ड बाय लॉ. बोलने को अंग्रेजी है दोनों, बट लाइक दो आर वेरी डिफरेंट थिंग्स इन द लीगल सेंस ऑफ इट, एंड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट यू विल हैव टू रीड द सब्जेक्ट एटलीस्ट वंस. राइट, तो एक बार आप एनसीईआरटीज पढ़ लेते हो बहुत आराम से, सुंदर सुंदर तरीके से, दे गेट यू थ्रू दैट होल आइडिया. एंड देन व्हेन यू कम अराउंड टू द सेकंड रीडिंग, दैट्स व्हेन यू स्टार्ट मेकिंग नोट्स. फिर टॉपिक वाइज घुसो, फिर लक्ष्मीकांत के नोट्स मत बनाओ. मेक नोट्स एज यू आर सेइंग अकॉर्डिंग टू द सिलेबस. सिलेबस ने पूछा है कि भाई पार्लियामेंट के पावर क्या है, फंक्शन क्या है, प्रॉब्लम्स क्या है, उस पे नोट बनाओ. लक्ष्मीकांत के चैप्टर पे नोट्स मत बनाओ क्योंकि लक्ष्मीकांत से नहीं पूछ रहे हो.
Right.
So that is a distinction that I feel takes a lot of time for people to grasp, but the sooner they do, the better it will be.
Sure, sir.
Right. So Aditya, before we end, what is one book that you would suggest that everybody who's preparing for UPSC should read, which is not related to syllabus? भगवत गीता के बारे में काफी बात करी है आपने, but like पूरी भगवत गीता पढ़नी चाहिए, क्या पढ़नी चाहिए, or if you have a particular translation that you would like to share?
So I think there are many of the translations that you can read. There is one by ISKCON, there is one by Gita Press. I think these two are good. You can read about Bhagavad Gita, not necessarily for UPSC. I think it is for everyone, life in general. I think if I had to recommend one book, I'll say this only. Like, if only one book, then yes, study Bhagavad Gita, because if you are able to internalize it to an extent, not everyone is able to. I think also I am not able to internalize fully, but yes, whatever I have understood, it helps me to deal better with situations in life in general and take failure, how to like absorb success as well sometimes when it happens, and continue moving forward. So I think if you are able to internalize Gita well, you will learn this very well.
I think that's absolutely true, क्योंकि मतलब गीता वही है ना, that it has stood the test of time. So the principles in it are such कि they are principles of human behavior. कि कर्म किए जा, फल की चिंता मत करे इंसान. Right, and if I had to recommend, I would recommend a book called The One Thing. It's a book about the idea कि भाई एक चीज को पकड़ो और उसको करो. Now the one thing can be at the larger sense कि भाई if you're doing UPSC, just do UPSC. Hobbies and everything, वो सारी चीजें हैं, they're in support, but you can't be like कि मैं हॉबी में भी बहुत अच्छा करूंगा, मैं कॉम्पिटिटिव चेस प्लेयर भी बनूंगा और फिर मैं ये भी करूंगा और फिर मैं वो भी करूंगा. वो नहीं होता. और आपका एक चीज है, 10 चीज साथ में. अब नाउ इवन विद इन UPSC you can focus on the one thing, which is कि okay, do I have to make very good notes? So how do I make the best notes? How do I improve? How do I do this? So I think that's another book that people can read and learn from.
Sure.
So I think you can also try that out.
Sure, sir,
I'll send you a copy.
I'll read it.
Right, and with that, we'll end the session. Thank you, Aditya, for your time.
Thanks a lot, sir, for having me. And it was a wonderful experience talking to you. It gave me a sense of self-introspection as well about what things I need to do right.
And I think that's the great thing. And hopefully इस attempt में आगे देख के और बात करते हैं. पेपर भेजना तुम्हारे, उन पे भी improvement करेंगे, 10 चीजें करेंगे.
Sure.
Because you are already a double ranker. I don't think you need much help, but whatever we can give, we'll be happy to.
Thanks a lot.